there's a drone zone, right? So between 2,800 and 3,500 RPM. And whenever you first experience, you're like, that's not so bad at all. And it's not awful at all.
Right.
It's just something that I recognize.
Right.
In fact, I wouldn't mind you driving the car on camera, because my viewers know that I can be kind of prissy when it comes to exhaust tones and stuff like that. And
okay.
I'm not trying to be a crybaby. I'm just trying to point out that it's there.
The drone is there?
Truth in advertising, really. And so if I get you in there who's never heard it, then you could say, yeah, I hear it, but it's not so bad. Or, I kind of don't like that. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share an unexpected review of my GTI from another GTI owner. I have teased my forthcoming Baun exhaust video, I think a few times now. One of the things that I'm waiting for before I share that video is sound recordings and measurements of a stock GTI and a GTI with a vibrant setup similar to what I had before I started on my Baun journey. So today I met up with my friend Chris and drove his car. Well, he drove it, and then I just took some measurements, and those measurements will be included in my video when I publish it. But what I also did was I gave him a chance to drive my car so that he could hear the immediate difference between his setup, which is what I had before Baun, and my Baun Stealth dual setup. And I wasn't certain if I was going to share much of that drive, but his drive turned into a review of my car. He had a lot to say about it, and I figured it was cool enough to share with you. So I am going to go ahead and let you see most of that drive. I'm going to cut out the boring stuff, but his remarks kind of surprised me. A little background on his car. His is a 2017, so same year as mine. I don't remember how many miles he has on the car. I will put that up here in the corner. And he has APR Stage 2, and his suspension is Bilstein B16 coilovers, and he's got performance brakes as well. He does road racing with his car and autocross, so he is a competitive driver, not professionally, but so his feedback has a little bit of extra interest over than if I got into his car and told him what I thought. It's not the same, in my opinion, as a performance-oriented driver commenting on my car. So check out this clip, and here's what he thinks of my car.
Okay.
All right, so we're going for a quick drive in my car just to let Chris react to a different exhaust. And so just here in the neighborhood, I mean, it sounds louder to me right away. But again, it's not
quieter, you mean?
This sounds to me louder than yours. Is it? Doesn't
when I come off the gas, yes, but when I'm on the gas, it sounds pretty comparable, actually.
Yeah.
This, dragging off the clutch, coming down, RPM coming down, I hear a little bit of drone in the back.
Mm-hmm.
But feels great.
I hadn't even thought about you feeling a difference there, driving the two different cars.
I didn't really, of course I was, bringing the RPMs up quite a bit, so I didn't really not miss the low end torque there, actually. But one thing I do appreciate, now, am I rolling right now?
Yeah.
Okay, well, your shocks feel like they might be just a little on the end of their life.
They're still original.
I know. I feel like they're just. But everything else feels very much the same. So we're doing. Let's see here. Let's get to.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. I'm just interested in seeing your thoughts on how it sounds. And the thing that's really surprising to me is wide open Sprint. It's quiet. And then, of course, with that suitcase muffler, it's even quieter still.
stock clutch?
No, this is the RSR clutch
That's
that
right,
I had upgraded
that's right.
to.
Yeah, your clutch is so much lighter now. I should have so much gotten the RSR clutch. The car feels really sound though for 150,000. Mine has 58,000 miles on it.
This clutch has 120 something thousand miles on it.
But the car as a whole feels really good.
Yeah, the slipping usually happens at the lower RPM, high load stuff.
Yeah.
And so I, as a practice, just avoid stabbing it, say below 4,000, but then it just rips straight on up to 65.
Right. So I feel like acceleration is just a little bit louder than mine, like maybe a tenth. I feel like if I'm cruising, it's pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
But if I come off the gas, I'm feeling a significant drone of the accelerating coming down.
Now the funny thing is that drone is no louder than the drone that I had before. It's just because everything else is lower, the drone seems louder.
Right. So did you lose weight when you got rid of the mufflers? You obviously lost weight, right? You gained so much of it with the sound equipment that it probably you couldn't do that.
I mean, the electronics in this car, especially now that I've got the other battery, I probably have about 110 pounds worth of electronics in the car. And
so I don't really feel that much acceleration difference really between our cars. I feel like they're about the same. I think your IS38 is more linear.
I hear that remark a lot.
Yeah, so once you start getting into the boost, which is right around 3, it feels like the tune is more consistent. So I can, which is easier because I can use the throttle to kind of stay in and out of that wheel spin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel a lot of torque steer, but one thing I do pick up is that from just making those little turns in your car, you don't have an LSD, do you?
Yes, well, not an aftermarket one, but I've got the electronic one.
You do?
Yeah, it's a performance pack.
Okay.
I have it set up differently, though. I have disabled the VAQ differential, so there's no ABS action going on. It's all being done by the EDEF, which
gotcha.
I think helps eliminate the torque steer.
Okay. Now, I don't feel any torque steer, but I just wondered if I felt a little more slippage as I turned, but maybe I was wrong. I haven't gone on a curve fast enough to really sense it, but I just coming out of my neighborhood when I did that hard acceleration,
Mm-hmm.
I did notice a bit of wheel spin on one side. But I mean, our stock LSDs are not quite as good as the new Wave Track one. That's what I've heard anyway.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I'm not going at it as hard this time, so I wanted to do more of a normal.
As long as you stay above 3,500 or below 2,800, it sounds great. It's just right in that, I call it the drone zone.
Yeah. Yeah, but when I was pushing hard, it definitely, it get me above it really quickly and didn't. And it may also be the throttle level. Like you only get it at a certain throttle level.
Yes, because I can induce it if I'm going up a hill, or certainly if I'm pulling a trailer, that's more load.
Right.
And then I haven't yet with this turbo, I don't think, towed in the hills. So I don't know what that takes.
Right. So it's interesting, because it brings you, if you go into 6th gear at 50 miles an hour, it's kind of drony and loudy. But if you go into 4th gear, 4th gear at 50, it's a lot quieter.
Mm-hmm. But you said in 6th gear it seemed drony?
Yeah. You hear the difference? Lower octave.
It's just different, yeah.
Lower octave. Much more like it got that bass feel where you're kind of feeling in the back of your ears. And it's kind of like, drony in a way. But that's just
it's a different type of drone.
Yeah. it's whenever I get off the accelerator, I feel like an even lower pitched drone. But I think if I was just driving it around, I probably wouldn't mind it very much, because I tend to be very even. I don't vary my throttle point very much, but gosh, I don't know that anything I would change in this car. It's pretty doggone nice.
Oh, thanks.
I feel like it's got plenty of power. I feel like the handling is fine. The shocks may be a little bit long in the tooth, but I wouldn't replace them. I think you still just enjoy them the way they are.
Dave, you've been up to Euro Pros,
Yeah,
right?
Dave, yeah.
So Dave tells me, he says, I have never replaced worn out factory struts. And I said, what? He goes, nope, I always replace them because people do upgrades. They're never leaking, and they're never failed.
Right.
I just replace them because the customer wants something else.
Yeah.
And so I was like, challenge accepted. I'm going to run these things and see if I can blow them up.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't replace yours. I feel like it's still good now. I
just now over that.
Yeah. I feel like it's fine. The other thing I have to adjust for is how much weight do you have in sound equipment?
Total with the hitch and everything, probably 160 pounds.
So that,
and the fridge is back there too. That's another 30 pounds.
So, having 200 pounds, 170 pounds, whatever that math is, probably will affect the feel of the suspension too. So
yes.
I don't know but of course, if I had to do it over again, I'd do the RSR Clutch any day of the week. I feel like it's perfect amount of pushback and smoothness.
And I think the RSR Clutch is great for stage 2. When I bought it, it was a relatively new kit, and so it was advertised to hold 480 pound-feet. So I was like, I'm never going to touch that. Perfect. This will last me forever.
Yeah.
And then later, and before my IS-38 upgrade, I must have been making a video or something, but I went back and I was snapping a photo for the video, and I saw that 480 pound-feet was only for Mark 5s and Mark 6s. And I was like, wait a second. How, torque is torque. What difference does it make if it's MQB or what? And apparently it does somehow. The clutches behave differently in the two different cars, and so it's rated on the MQB for, I want to say 380, which is right at the line on this car. I have a 91 octane tune in the car, and so I am pushing 371 pound-feet, so to hopefully to stay right below that line. But the clutch is pretty worn in at this point.
Right.
And so I'm not disappointed with its performance, but if I knew that I was going to get an IS-38, and if I knew that it was only rated for 380 pound-feet, I probably wouldn't have bought it. I would have gone with the South Bend Clutch Stage 2 Endurance, which is what I'm going to get here before too long. And that one holds up in the 400s somewhere, and again, it's up at a limit that I'll never reach.
Have you driven that clutch?
Not on one of these cars, I don't think.
If I were you, I'd find a way to drive that clutch, because I've driven some of the South Bend stuff, and I feel like they clatter a little bit.
Yes, they do. Yep.
And I don't know. I didn't really know, except for that hard acceleration when I stopped. I didn't notice a whole lot of clutch slip, and I just think that what you have is perfect. For me, it's a hair light, but I think that's just because I'm used to using mine.
I think I thought I was going to have to replace it before Christmas, because the first time I felt it slip, I was like, oh crap, I got to get this thing out of here. But it's been holding on, and so I'm just going to keep on going. It'll slip worse when I really need to replace it. Okay. I'm not worried about it leaving me stranded on the road. There's no way it's going to fail that fast, but yeah. So it's just it's a budgetary thing that I keep in the back of my mind, that yes, eventually I'm going to have to replace the clutch. Right. Now RSR, HS Tuning does offer another form of RSR clutch, and I forget what they call it, but it is like a step up, and it's got the more, it's a hybrid clutch of sorts. Okay. I think they call it the RSR hybrid, and I could get that. But another reason why I think about sticking with South Bend clutch, I learned this when my daughter upgraded her clutch. She got a South Bend, and on the Mark, it's not about marks, it's about engines. So on the 1.8T, the 5-speed transmission, I think it's the transmission that makes a difference. The Stage 2 Endurance doesn't hold as much torque in that application, so she had to get a Stage 3. I think she got a Stage 3 daily. That clutch is really stiff, and it engages really close to the floor. I hate driving her car now.
Yeah.
And
does she like it?
Of course, she's a kid, so she's upgraded her car. She's got an APR tune in it now, so it's like, I don't know, 245 horses, and she's got the upgraded clutch. She installed her own coilovers. She's just thrilled with her car.
Okay. What coilovers did she put on?
I think B16s. It's either B14 or B16s. I think they're B16s. And what happened was when Dave got the clutch and they put it in, it had a terrible vibration in it. And so they diagnosed it and said, the flywheel is misbalanced. And so they called up South Bend and said, hey, man, he said it's rare, very rare, but it happens that sometimes the flywheel just has a defect. So he called up South Bend and had a new kit shipped out. And it was inconvenient. It was a delay of about 2 days. But the thing that was a kind of a selling point was because he bought the part, and we've all heard too, always get the part yourself because they'll mark it up, right? You save money if you buy it yourself. But what happened was because he provided the part, it was on him to remove it and put it back in. The defect was on him.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But if it had been me supplying the part, now it's a customer supplied part, and now I have to argue with South Bend Clutch for a new part, and I have to pay for another remove install. And so there's potential money savings with going with
that's a great
supplier,
point.
With mechanic supplied parts. And so I really am interested in that RSR hybrid, but they say, like this clutch, they say stock like feel, stock like noise. Mm-hmm. Well, I disagree with the stock like feel because I could tell right away that it was stiffer, but I got used to it very quickly. Stock like noise, this car sounds like a sewing machine still.
Right.
And then when I compared it to my daughter's South Bend Stage 3, it's like my TDI didn't have a clutch that stiff, but it's really stiff. And so I don't know if I would like that. So Stage 2, I think, is a little lighter. And I think Dave probably has a car that I can try out.
Sure.
His car's got a stage, it's a Mark 6, but his has a South Bend clutch in it, I think.
Right. Well, do you like the smoothness of the wheel? Do you like how the leather is worn in? Do you like that?
I think so. I'm used to it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, that drive in our discussion ended a bit abruptly when we got to his house, so I didn't do an outro or anything. And to be honest, I didn't realize I was going to share this video with you the way I am right now. So there it is. I think he said a lot of nice things about my geriatric GTI, and I appreciate it. It just indicates to me that the car, I have done good things to it, maybe working in a good direction, and yeah, I appreciate the car as always, and it's nice to see that somebody else does as well. Feel free to post questions if you have them. I'm always glad to answer questions. As always, I appreciate you being here, and I will see you next time. Take care.